Good afternoon and welcome to another edition of the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame here in downtown Forest Park. Today we are in front of a live audience and it is Sunday, so I don't want you to think I forgot about Saturday. This is a special one. We are doing it on a Sunday for some agreements that we had with our special inductee who was inducted on the 26th of October.
Sorry.
Kevin Lund from Melrose Park. Like I said, we're in front of a live audience today, and I always want to thank our president and the board, Paul Rowan and the board, for setting the time aside for these Hall of Fame legends. To my right is the one and only Kevin Lund. Kevin, thanks for coming in.
Oh, my pleasure.
This is great. This is great. Yeah, this is great. And of course, like I said, we're in front of a live audience today. I got to ask you, when does it start for you for the love of this?
Well, like I said in the bio, we started playing on the sewer caps at a block away from where I grew up, at 14th and Augusta, and we had rules. You know, you hit the house on the fly, it's an automatic home run.
Not the window, yeah, was that?
You hit it over the house, and no matter if there's anyone on base, it's a grand slam. You just made your own rules and played, and
Right.
it's you know, no one plays this game. I live in Texas. They have no clue what this
Of
is.
what this game is.
And I try to explain to them, and they look at me like I got three heads.
Right.
So they just don't understand. But it's just it was in our DNA. It was what we did. We played softball. We went and played home run derby at the park at Jane Addams, and in the wintertime they'd freeze it, and we'd play hockey, and
Sure.
just do what kids did back in them days. We didn't have cell phones and all.
No, all the what's this technology, which is kind of like, it's good for some things and kind of ruined it for others.
It drives me crazy because I'm an old man and I just don't I don't conform to that kind of stuff, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I got to ask you, 14th and Augusta, when we talk about JDM, we are talking about the suburb of Melrose Park,
Right,
correct?
right.
Yeah. So
It was an awesome town to grow up in back in the 70s, 60s, 70s. It was a lot of fun.
the first recollection of like a team or a moment, was it in grade school? Was it going into high school? What was that first recollection?
Well, it had to have been playing with the Lightning guys, with the Olsen brothers and
Okay.
the whole crew that, they grew up a little west of me.
Mm-hmm.
But we managed to find our way and get together, and we had a hell of a team. But
Sure.
it didn't last very long, and it could have, because there were some good players.
I can imagine. Who notices you? Who notices you in the sense of, let's say your offensive skills, or who notices you for maybe
Well,
defensive?
it wasn't for defense.
Yes.
Let's get that out of there.
You invented the DH.
Yeah,
I know
I
that.
don't have any broken fingers.
You might come a little closer to here. That's good. But yeah, you invented the DH part of it, but you were a catcher, maybe.
A catcher. I played first base I actually played outfield when I was 24 years old, playing 12 inch.
Right, but predominantly the catcher. So,
Yeah.
but is there that first guy or that first manager that comes up to you and says, "Hey, Kev, like how old were you with that first team? How old were you that first team?" Talk about.
I was 20.
20. Okay,
maybe,
so a little bit later than the
But
norm.
these were all the neighborhood guys.
Right.
And then we went to Portage Park and played, and no offense, Chubbs.
Chubbs is in our audience
We
today.
played the Takers, and we had 9 guys, and we run ruled them.
Okay.
The next year, I was on the Takers. So,
Okay.
that's kind of how that went. And,
Sure.
And 40 years later, and I talk to these guys almost once a week, a couple times a week, and
In your bio, you mentioned Polfus of the Takers.
yeah,
You remember this, Rich Polfus?
sure, I remember.
Sure. Yeah. No, I know. Well, I mean, because you brought up the Takers, yeah.
Well, the guy had open arms, come and play with us, and
Right.
we had a lot of fun. I'm not a drinker, okay?
Okay.
Summer of '84, I drank more liquor and booze than I have in my combined life, and that's not a lot.
No wonder the ball kept flying onto the street over there.
But
Yeah.
a lot of fun, a lot of laughs, a lot of characters, and you just don't forget those days.
Sure.
You know?
Sure. Oh, yeah, the camaraderies that are built from all these men and a lot of these people that I've
But
met.
like I said, 40 years ago, we're still, we're still friends. I don't live here anymore. We're still.
Yeah, well, yeah, I saw that before we went on today. So you're with how long were you with the Takers?
I was with them for a short time,
Okay,
just a short time, because then they combined with another team and I was always on the fringes, Chubb's sponsors with Louisville Slugger and
sure.
and all that. I mean, he took care of us really well and,
So from there, you go.
then I was sitting at Wrigley and I don't know if it was Rasha or Mike
But we're
Consiglio,
talking about Bobby Rush, right?
Yeah. or Mike Consiglio.
Okay,
Why don't you come and play with the 45s? And my dad had just passed away and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll come out there. And I was with them for 5 years.
yeah. And these are teams you played against, correct? Or during that time?
Well, not really. No, I never played against the 45s until later on, after I had played with them for 5 years or so.
So you're getting asked a lot. There's a lot of progression here. I mean, you're moving forward with all these teams and you're playing how many games you think in a week during all this time? But give me like an approximate. I kind of know, but what do you think it was?
Well, you tried to squeeze 3 in if you could in a night.
Yeah, wow.
And
Okay.
if you got 2 in, these are, one might have been a Mount Prospect, but the other 1 or 2 might have been just to go out and work on your swings at a park game.
Sure.
Okay. And I'm not gonna lie, I didn't give a crap if we won or lost. I'm gonna get my rips in and,
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. It was almost like a batting practice for you.
to play this game at this level, you can't just go sit in an office and come out 1 night a week and play and compete at this level.
No.
Forget about it.
Yeah, not at the level that this is.
I had a friend in Texas, a teammate of mine. This dude was huge. And he played with Pearsons and Houston Wreckers, which were big time teams back in the late 70s.
Sure.
I said, Mike, what do you got to do to get to your level? And he said, you got to play every day.
Every day.
And I never forgot it. And that's what I tried to do. I tried to play every day.
So if just because I don't know this part about you, if a park district team just call you, like let's say we'll call it a B league or a C league, would you go out there? Hey, he had a night off, you had nothing to do?
Absolutely.
Because you're gonna get your rips in, you're gonna do your thing.
I used to call it the Jim Shoe and Blue Jean.
The gym. Watch, I was in a lot of those leagues, But again, if you had the time, you went, right?
No question.
It was right.
That's what I did.
Sure.
It was good looking women, gambling and softball. That was my
Okay,
life.
okay.
It's changed now.
Yeah, but in the order probably was softball, good looking women.
I'm gonna stick with the good looking
Okay, all right, we gotta watch, well, we're gonna cut it off right there, we gotta watch this now. All right, so. Of course, you're going in there, you're being asked to play on these different teams.
Yeah.
You're being asked to play on these different teams, but this now becomes a competition when you mention some of these gentlemen's names. And of course, you mentioned some of these teams. Did you see that high competition at that? You saw that high competition at the level you played at, right?
Well,
Night in and night out.
let me go back
Sure.
to the winter of '83. I was in Houston.
Okay.
And you play year round, right? So we're playing, and here comes a team from Chicago, Lilly Air Systems. Okay. So I went up to them and we talked and blah, blah, blah. Long story short, that was in February. By April, I was up here on their roster with Benny Hope, Elysiak, Buddy Haynes.
Wow.
Okay. Now I'm 24 years old. I'm still wet behind the ears when it comes to being with those kind of guys.
Those kind of guys, right? Exactly.
So, I got to play with them and I watched them because I heard stories and I read about the pro league when they were in the late 70s. All these guys that were on that team are all in the 16-inch Hall of Fame. Okay, they're all in the 16-inch Hall of Fame. Why did they? And I don't like to talk about 12-inch with 16-inch people because they kind of rubs them raw. But those guys all went and played 12-inch and they did great. So it was about competing. We want to compete.
Yeah, night in and night out, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. Then it'd be a great honor for you then because you're getting attached to these guys who.
Well, okay, I'll tell you the story. Okay, so
We have the floor.
we're in Detroit, Michigan, playing against Steel Sports.
Okay.
Top 5 team in the world.
At that time.
Yes, okay. They got an ESSA National Hall of Fame pitcher. We're down 3. I'm coaching first. And Pete Williams, the manager, would come and get a bat. And I was like, John Candy and Stripes. Me? So I get in there, and Dana Andrew, who was the pitcher, throws me a thing at gravy on it, and I hit it out of the park. Next thing I know, I got Elysiak and Benny Hope jumping on me, congratulate me, and I'm like, this is not happening. This has got to be some kind of a dream, you know?
Right.
But those are the things that I remember the most, because the confidence you got from playing with those guys and succeeding.
And this was like the bottom of the 7th, right?
No, it was about the 5th, because I had another at bat, and Jim Bazell, who's a Cleveland Hall of Famer, told Dana Andrew, all right, lay another one in there. We know a blind squirrel always finds a nut every once in a while. So I got another base hit RBI, and that was and I got to play against Steels again in Milwaukee. But
Wow.
you know, those guys are pros.
And again, you know, the way you broke it down, I mean, it looked like you did it yesterday. You remember it just verbatim from that
Well,
that moment.
I want, as long as I'm here, I want to thank Pete Williams,
You have whatever you remember, you do.
John Lilly, and a guy named Jimmy Burke. Jimmy Burke was my conduit to them guys in Houston, and I'll never forget playing with them guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, awesome. I
I
mean,
still have my one jersey left in my closet.
wow. Okay.
Just if anybody says, you're full of it, you never played for Lilly, I'll show
Well, if you, I bet you somebody else might have that jersey. Might be Joe Polito, who was a Hall of Fame. We just had him on a couple weeks.
I know, he mentioned my name, and I was like,
He's probably got that jersey too. No one,
Joe.
yeah, no one, Joe, no, a great guy. We interviewed a couple of weeks back with Anthony Tyler. I got to ask you. So, I mean, how long does this progression with you from, let's say that time you were 24? How long were you involved with this, with these kind of players? I mean, it was. Oh, you never wanted to walk away from it, right?
No, but I want to play.
Right, you want to play.
Okay, so I went where I was going to play.
Right, exactly. They wanted you because of your skills of the offensive.
It was about driving in runs.
Driving in runs, right?
Because I dumped the ball one time in a falling 14-inch right here in front of Jimmy Matlock, and I think his eyeballs popped out of his head when he saw me dump it in front of him. I did not want to fail doing that kind of stuff.
Right.
I want to just rip.
Because this was something that was not your routine. If you
it was partially because of the 12-inch. You know, you don't dump in 12-inch. They really get pissed when you dump in 12-inch.
12-inch, right? Yeah. Where that, like you said,
the other team's going to start hollering at you.
The two offset each other. There's some players you mentioned in here, of course, just even this Pat Caputo, Jimmy Kelly, Bob Russia, Claus Rhodes, Billy Hogan, Joe Davies, Bill Abruzino, who is here. He's here today in our audience, and Tom Olson. What can you say about these guys?
I'm going to tell you.
I'm going to bring up some names so you can kind of do this podcast in your mind.
I did not realize that Jimmy Kelly had passed away, but the summer of '93, the 45s did not get in Grant Park. So Jimmy Terrence, one of our sponsors, and just a great guy. I hung out with him like forever.
He was part of that 45 in Playboys.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. So
yes.
So he knew Jimmy Kelly, and Jimmy Kelly took me out to Grant Park. Now I got Ladderwig, Mark Wilson, Berger, Randy Filkins, Dave Bischoff on this team I'm on.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, now you're in Tall Clover now, you can't F up. So, and I was just I just went there as a pinch hitter.
Right.
And we were playing splinters, and it was a real typical Chicago game because it poured. They moved the bases off the dirt and put it in the grass. We played in the grass at Grant Park against splinters with all the studs. And I come off the bench and got a big hit, and we beat them. We finished well in that tournament, and they had a big beer tent there. Okay, and it was like a VIP tent.
Okay.
You know? So we got in there, and everybody came up to me. It was just, I was like slapping me on the back because we had beaten the big line, you know.
Sure.
Eggs and Mastari and them guys.
This way, right?
You know, so that's another, Jimmy Kelly was an awesome guy, just an awesome, awesome guy to be around, and I'm sorry he's gone. He was a great dude.
But again, to bring up these gentlemen in your bio, they meant a lot to you. They meant a lot. I mean, over the years, it was just incredible. One of the bios that I've noticed that has just been, just great tributes to these men.
Yeah, I mean, play with 714, okay, you wanna come and play with us? Oh, yeah, that guy Keith Filkins is on that team, I think I'll show up. Another guy, that's just, he's a living legend, so
Sure.
I wanna be around them kind of guys.
Oh, yeah.
When I play.
Without a doubt,
You
without a doubt.
know?
What was a tournament or something that you remember in the team that does it still stick out in your mind, like a tournament that you went to that maybe you guys were down, you guys came back and you felt the camaraderie of some of the men you mentioned? Do you remember one that kind of stands out?
Well, yeah, the Hawthorne tournament in '95
Okay.
with Ice, Patty Caputo,
Yeah,
and I played with them for a couple of years. But we won the Hawthorne tournament. We came from behind and won that one.
Right,
That was-
right.
And that, look, what was that, 95? The joint was packed. Okay? And, you don't see that much anymore. I don't know why, but those days, people brought their lawn chairs out, they went along the baselines.
oh yeah, I mean, they were coming from all over.
It's, you don't see that kind of stuff. You only, and it was a perfect setting, right in Cicero, the old neighborhood and the houses right there and the trees and, people everywhere,
Sure. Sure.
it was just good stuff.
Good
Good
stuff.
summer fun.
Good summer, which, yeah, hopefully eventually we'll see it. Anybody in our audience, you might have to talk, remembers, Phil, I'm gonna ask you a question. What do you remember about him, when he was playing?
Kevin,
Yeah,
I think, I
if
remember.
you could just, just the octave higher, so the mic picks it up.
I mean, just a lot of fun to be around, like you said, the ultimate DA. I don't think Kevin ever swung a ball that he didn't want to hit farther than the one before.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he loved the game and we had just so many good times. And that's like I said, that's kind of how I was, just love the game and we could never get enough, you know what I mean?
Sure. I mean, I can imagine some of the games you guys were in the. Anybody else in the audience that remembers something about Kevin?
From games.
You can bring it up in just a little bit. You can become a little closer too.
I used to ride to and from games with Kevin. Kevin used to talk about the game. One game and on the way home, guys were talking about.
Wow.
Okay, let me just bring up the traveling part.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, I used to have these minivans, right? And I take the middle seat out. So my softball guys can drive in luxury to go to the tournaments.
So, yeah.
Bulkhead seats, and that real nice for them.
Yeah. So that was like the sprinter of the day now. That would be a
Right,
sprint.
exactly.
Yeah, the sprinter of the day. Oh, wow. Incredible. Well, you made it nice for them. You brought up Terrence a little bit here.
I knew him from the.
We're talking about
Jimmy Terrence. He was with Hanley Dawson Cadillac and they had sponsored the Playboys back in the day.
Sure.
And then some of them guys evolved into the 45s with Tommy LeVar and all that at Portage Park. And he came with the 45s and we used to go to Arizona and all the road trips to Iowa. He was an older guy. And like I said, my dad had passed and he was like, he hung out with me and talk about the old days, and I'll talk about this one guy. He
Sure.
told me about this home run hitter back in the 40s and how great he was and all that kind of stuff. And I just soaked that stuff up like a sponge.
You wanted to know more about
Yes.
this. Yeah, exactly. You mentioned a lot of teams in the bio, the Bud 45s, the Ice, the Bud Runners, Fusion, Kings, 714, Screwballs, the Jaybirds. I mean, there's not one that you could say, hey, you mentioned all of them, which is just an amazing, cherished by you.
The Jaybirds was very interesting. Okay, so by the soybean pit at the Board of Trade, my man Jimmy Walsh right there, myself.
Jimmy's in our audience.
Yes, in the red coat, and Angelo Alicia, who's a big time Hall of Famer.
Okay.
We all worked within 10 feet of each other. Okay. So Angelo leans over and goes, why don't you come with the Jaybirds for the ESSA World
And
Tournament?
this was at work,
Yeah,
okay?
I said, I'm in. So we went up there. It was a rough weekend in the NFL. I got tattooed, but we did really well, and I made the all-world team. And the list of all the guys on that, there's only one guy on that list that's not in the 16-inch Hall of Fame now. I mean, Talo's on there, Perlicki's on there. A guy that I played with in high school who would have been a lead pipe cinch to be in this Hall of Fame, but he didn't. He stopped playing. Was Gary Mariano. What a player he was, and he made that.
Did Gary go to Holy Cross?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, he was a basketball player during my time.
He made it look easy.
Yeah, he was a basketball player during my time, Gary Mariano, remember him well.
Absolute
Yeah.
stud softball player.
Yeah, geez, okay, great. You had said you had wanted to mention some people, that, you have maybe.
Well, I watched the Tyler interview. And
Yeah,
said,
sure.
Name 5 guys from your parks that you would want to.
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
So these are the 5 guys from the park that were outstanding players, but didn't go on though.
Okay,
So we're gonna go with Tommy Olson, who's in charge of Veterans Park,
very nice.
a great shortstop. Our first baseman is a kid named Tommy Knack. He used to get, remember the Bubs Daddy, you got bubble gum and come in a sleeve?
Yes.
Balls.
Right,
He'd take the whole thing, put it in his mouth, and spit the sugar on his hands so he'd catch the ball. He never missed the ball at first base. He hit his hands were black.
that was the tar of the day.
Yes,
Yep.
yes. Great guy. Now this guy here, Gary Harpo Mariano,
Gary Mariano.
I mean Montino, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
Montino, okay, Montino.
Gary Montino, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
He was our pitcher and he'd hit a long ball with anybody. He's like 6'4", 220, 230.
Wow.
And he was a great pitcher and he stopped playing too. But these guys, here's another guy, Stevie Morella. He played with us, just a stone hitter. And a guy that I grew up with, Joe Lano. Very good short center. And another guy that just.
Joey Leno from Harwood Heights?
No, from Melrose.
Melrose, okay.
Yeah. And this other kid here, I'm gonna mention him. His name was Bobby Besh. He was with Bobby and Conan, the Stray Cats and the Runts. He was on, I got it on my phone. He was on the roster.
Okay,
They picked him out of West Melrose by St. Charles Borromeo. He did. The kid ran like a deer. And he never played, never played. He was an awesome player. But these are the guys that from my park.
great, and again, an honor for you to mention these guys because it sticks in your mind like yesterday.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you a question. So in 88, 89, you won the home run derby at Kingston Park.
Well,
And just before we ask even the guys here, you beat a Hall of Famer, do you remember?
you know, let me tell you why I beat him.
Well, who was the Hall of Famer you beat up?
Well, it was Stretch Lee and O'Connor.
Okay,
Okay. So that guy right there, the Kenny Doctor, right there with the blue hat on,
is Kenny in our
I
audience?
picked him to be my pitcher. Now, when you do home run derby, a pitcher is very, very important. Okay.
Exactly.
So we went out to Rolling Meadows and measured off 300 feet or whatever it was. And I said, this is where you got to put it for me to get it to where it's going to go. Comiskey was 382 in the alley. So you figure 265, you'll get it out of there.
Okay.
So you got 10 pitches.
Where was the plate set up at?
Second base.
Second base,
Right
okay.
where the Beatles played, right?
Oh, right, yeah, was it 64 or
Yeah.
64?
That got me more excited than Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth. The Beatles were out there.
Instead of She Loves You, yeah, they were singing He Loves You, yeah.
So you get 10 pitches, 8 swings.
Wow,
So I'm 0 for 5.
oh, wow. Was it his fault or yours?
Obviously, it was both.
You weren't, no. You know, okay.
So this is a true story. So I looked at Bobby Meters and I said, can I have a minute? So I walked out the dock. I took my bat, I grabbed it halfway. I put it on his shoulder and I said, put the effing ball where we're supposed to put it.
Right.
And it was my left hip pointer is where I wanted. So I could open up and pull.
Yeah, move that,
Okay.
yeah. Okay, with the hip, exactly.
So I hit 2 in a row out. And then the third one went in the second row of the upper deck.
Holy cow.
And that was, that's something you don't forget.
Right. I mean, when I saw that in the bar, I go, well, yeah, that's a shot.
And, okay, so I might have shook him up a little bit, but he came through with 3 perfect pitches.
We could probably reenact that pitch today, you know?
Well, he might throw it, but I won't be able to hit it. So the reason that O'Connor and Lee didn't beat me is because their balls were center, right side.
okay.
That was their strength. Now 409 to center.
That's, yeah, because the bullpen was back there.
So they're short
the bullpen,
hopping, they're short hopping the 409, so
Yeah.
they're going deep,
That was a shot.
but they didn't get it in the, out of the
Right.
park.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what the old bullpen.
There was another kid there, not a kid. He was an offensive lineman from Iowa State. His name was Chris Bosky, a Southsider.
Big guy?
He had calves like an oak tree,
Oh, geez.
and he was a monster too, but there were there were guys out there in blue jeans and
Sure.
shoes. They just wanted to be on the field and
Exactly.
you know, that's fine. But I went out there to win the damn thing. You
Right,
know?
right.
And and then the second year I didn't do well in the 16-inch, but Jimmy Walsh was my pitcher for 12-inch. And I beat Marty Rolnick from Steels and Dave Shorts from Rockford, who played with Lil.
Where was that taking place?
That was at Comiskey.
That was like Comiskey.
Yeah.
That's a shot.
The other thing-
That's a shot in the old park.
The other thing about that day with the 12-inch, Tom House and Nolan Ryan were on the warning track throwing the football, which was pretty
Holy
cool.
cow.
Yeah.
Tom House was the lefty, I think.
Well, he was the pitching coach.
Oh, pitching coach.
He's the guy that caught Henry Aaron's home run.
Yeah, when they were with the Braves.
Mhm.
Exactly. Okay. We're gonna do a thing of 5 questions today. I got a 5 question, then I got a 5A. We're gonna have a little fun right now.
You're gonna do my 15 guys?
Yeah, we're gonna do it. That's one of the
Okay.
questions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is.
All right,
You
all right.
wanna- You're coming in again a little bit here. All right. You mentioned a lot of people here today, a lot of people, deservedly so. I'm gonna give you like 2 or 3, but who were those early mentors? 2 or 3 guys, just some names, a little bit about them that still sticking out in your mind. Say that early mentor that said to yourself, could have been mom, could have been dad, could have been an uncle, could have been a player. Wow, I still remember this guy gave me that driving ambition to do this. Who was it?
Well, I love my parents. They're both gone.
Okay,
My mother was at 1 game in 20 years.
okay,
My dad was at 1 home run derby in 20 years.
Okay.
Hitting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was all guys that I would watch.
sure.
You know, when you hit home runs, you don't have to be a monster. There's a technique to it.
Right.
And I used to watch Elysiak, and I never ran up on the ball.
Sure.
And I'm watching these guys and Benny Holt, and you know, Benny Holt was an Olympic powerlifter, for Christ's sake.
Sure.
I was not that guy. I used to walk by the weights and look at them, but I never lifted them. You know?
Sure.
So there's a technique, and I would watch these guys. And
Doing their thing, yeah.
you know, I
So-
would watch the best. These are the
So
best.
these were those sort of the mentors that says, I want to keep doing this. Like you said early in the interview, you wanted to know more about the game, the guy in the 40s who was hitting the
Yeah.
long ball to say, hey,
And then going out to Mount Prospect and seeing O'Connor and them guys, you know. I mean,
sure.
O'Connor was just a stone stud, man.
Oh,
The guy never said boo.
right. No, yeah, no emotion
He-
either way, right,
He
exactly.
was a masher. Just a
All right,
masher.
you gotta give me 2. You described a lot of them here today. You might want to just go back, you don't have to go into long detail about it, but give me 2 moments that still to this day that come in your mind. Your 2 favorite moments, if it was the Comiskey, if it was winning the tournament, or if it was that home run, what are those moments that you're
All right,
sometimes
I'll
you're
give you-
driving in the car
I'll-
and they come back to you,
I'll give you 2. The one against Steels,
okay?
okay, coming out of the first base coaching box and hitting the bomb off of them guys. Now, the other one would have to be maybe getting that big hit at Grand Park off of Eggs
Okay,
and seeing Frank Mastari's the frustration in his face because he
was
was,
Mastari playing shorts,
yes,
or you okay?
okay, and just the stone competitor that I
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to be around I always wanted to play around the house.
Sure.
Always.
Remember Frankie well,
The second one, okay, so 91 is Kingman, Arizona, am I correct? Nationals. And the first rattle out of the box, it's 45's lettuce in Kingman, Arizona. Okay. And the batter's boxes there were like going through West Virginia, it was just like, the two holes and then you got the hump in the middle. Your back foot and your front foot, these players' backs were horrible.
Yeah,
And Zeman threw me a ball and I hit it out of the park. And we lost to Lettuce 5-2, but I got to hit a home run against them. Right before they took off, this was like their first or second year.
sure.
And their first year, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And I hit one out against them. That was pretty cool.
Wow.
Like I said, you want to do it against the
It's
best.
beautiful the way you remember it clearly. All right, here's the third question. Give me that team of 15 guys you want to go to war with every day.
Okay. Seeing that I was,
You gotta be 10 on the field, 5 on the, for your back.
I'm gonna give you my power 15.
Okay, I keep looking at this book and I'm getting scared because it looks like a Harry Potter novel, but
You should have seen it, you should have seen when I did my speech, I had stuff everywhere.
No wonder Paul didn't get up the next
I had
morning.
people tell me, hey, why don't you do the AI thing with the,
No, but yeah, go ahead with that. If
Okay.
you have 15 for me?
I do.
All right, this is the same question we
Okay,
asked
now this
Anthony
is-
Tyler.
This guy here, Jimmy Terrence told me about this guy, okay? His name
Okay.
is in the Hall of Fame, his name is Herder Redmond, played
Okay,
in the 40s,
wow,
okay? He won the home run derby at Comiskey and he took a picture with Joe DiMaggio. How about
oh
that?
wow, the Yankees, the Clipper,
Okay.
yeah, okay.
So that was pretty cool. And he was, he hit 45, 50 home runs. The next guy is Rich Lasky, okay?
Okay,
Now, at the third home run derby at
Mm-hmm.
Comiskey, it was moved back because of weather or whatever, but it was a crappy day. The wind was blowing in over the left field wall. The flags were like this.
great,
And I won that one with 2. And you had to hit it on the line. You could not get it up in the air. But Rick Lasky was hitting 12 inches.
wow,
He was hitting 12 inches into a 30-mile-an-hour wind. And roof shots
zoom shots.
from second base. And it was very impressive. And I know
Sure.
he hit that ball at Genera Park into the concession stand back in the old days.
Oh, wow,
So he gets my vote. Obviously, Jack Kelly, okay?
okay, yeah,
Randy Stretch Lee.
Okay.
I played with Randy in 90. We combined Safari and
Mhm.
45s. So I got to play with Randy and Lala and all them guys. Kenny Cooper.
okay,
Now Bob Ancona can attest. I saw Kenny Cooper take half swings and hit it out of Mount Prospect.
wow,
Okay.
that's a shot too.
And the Kenny Cooper, I'll tell you, the first time I met Kenny Cooper was in 1983 in Waukegan.
Mhm.
He was catching for a 12-inch team called the Jokers out of Lake Geneva. And we were friends ever since that day.
Wow.
Always come up to me and say hi. He was a great guy, in my opinion.
You never lose that camaraderie.
Yeah. Okay, now we're gonna go back here again. 1948, Nate Sweetwater Clifton,
Okay,
Harlem Globetrotter, home run hitter, okay, from 1948. He
wow,
won the home run contest, a home run that year. He won the home run number from Redmond.
Redmond, okay,
Okay.
guy you mentioned before.
Okay, here's another guy that won the second year. When I won the 12-inch, he won the 16-inch. His name was Tim Sipe.
Okay.
He played for the Taggers. He didn't stick around very long, but he can hit the ball. He's a big, punchy, strong dude. And he hit the ball hard and hit it out. Okay, I did not see this guy play very much, or maybe I did. He played with the Stompers, Mike Krolicki.
Okay,
Okay, he won a home run derby. He had 7 out of 10 at Comiskey.
wow, that's
And after that, Bill Beck come up and offered him a tryout.
really,
Yes.
hope it wasn't the year with the shorts. Yeah,
Okay, then we're gonna go with John O'Connor, obviously. Okay, guy was a monster. Chubbs helped me out on this one, Mr. Mike Glab.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
you remember him, Chubs?
okay, and I believe he played with the 12-inch pros for a while too, I think,
Sure,
from Chicago. Now I'm gonna
you're down to the last 2, right?
my last 2, well, my last 4.
Last one.
Obviously, Benny and Elysiak, okay, everybody knows who they are.
Sure,
Living legends. I was lucky enough to be teammates with them. I learned so much from them guys. And I looked up to them like you couldn't believe, because I read about them in the paper when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And then I'm with them,
And now you're playing with them, right? Exactly.
okay? Now, these last two, you guys aren't gonna probably like me, the 16-inch guys, but I'm gonna give it to Kyle Pearson and Jason Matuzik from Rismondo. Those guys put on a show, wow, at the Nationals. Put on a show for what they did for not playing the game. If you watched, I watched all their games, okay? And I know the 16-inch game is you got a man on second, push them over, blah, blah, blah. These guys did not cut once, they did not dump once, they swung from their heels every time. The thing about them guys is when they play big league dimensions, they play 80-foot bases. So now they're playing 60-foot bases, they're turning singles into doubles. Then they get the guy to third, boom, they hit the sack, they score the run. But I saw one guy walk up, and some of them guys were still using 25-ounce bats at
Wow.
16-inch.
I was listening to a conversation of this before you guys came out. Yeah.
I know one guy tried a 38, but Kyle Pearson hit about 6 at 290. Okay, now he hits 450 footers like it's water in 12-inch.
Wow, I can imagine. Sure.
Okay,
Wow.
but that's my list, and it was
Well,
all dedicated to power.
And impressive, and I gotta say, to go back to the 40s, that's, you talk about your passion for the game was unbelievable. All right, I gotta ask you this. I don't know how it's done or anything, this is question 4 or how it, but when you get a call that you're gonna be inducted in the Hall of Fame by a Paul Rowan or a board member here, what went through your mind when you got that call from Paul?
I was elated.
Okay, did you know it was coming?
I was hoping and praying it
Yeah.
would come, and it came, and that's all that
Or
counts.
were you when did the call come from Paul Rowan, our president? Is
Yes, I'll tell you exactly where
Okay.
I was, just about where I am all the time.
I hope you weren't eating a taco like Polito.
No, no,
Okay.
no, now that I'm retired for 3 years, I was probably in my room on my stomach with the remote watching MASH or Andy Griffith or something like
Okay.
that. And I got the call, and I thought it was great, and you know, here's the thing, my wife, Kimberly, okay? Why don't you do a Zoom, Kevin? Why do you have to go? I said, because you didn't play softball for 20
Right,
years.
right.
Okay, that's why I'm going up there.
That's great. Now, God, and Kevin, appreciate you coming here today. This has been amazing. All right. If you had to do it all over again, would you do it?
Well, if I came back and played now,
Yeah, no, I mean, if you had to do it all over again, then, yeah, you know, let's say we all come
oh, of
back.
course I would do it again. But if I just want to, this is kind of a joke thing from my observation. But if I was to come back now, I would have to have a man bun, a calf tattoo, and a backpack to play on a team now.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. Times have changed. Right. And the last, this is not off of softball because we had a private conversation a couple weeks back on a phone.
Right.
I want to thank you for bringing up the Nardella family from Melrose Park, Mark Nardella, Frankie, Mike, Jimmy, and Johnny, guys that I played hockey with my whole life. If it wasn't for that family, I'm not in the position I was in playing that sport. So when you brought back the memories that they remembered me, you had me crying in my office that day.
I know, I was too, because they meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
And they were a family that is how you're supposed to raise a family.
Yeah.
Okay,
The love,
bottom line.
the love and the passion.
Yeah.
You got it. Hey,
All right, thanks so much.
thanks a lot.
You
This
got
has
it.
been great. We visited today with Hall of Fame inductee Kevin Lund, and I tell you now, I want to hear that audience clap as loud as you can. This is fantastic. And I gotta tell you, Kevin, I know we don't have the time to do this, but if there's ever a part 2, you'd be the prime candidate with all these stories. But these were great stories of passion and determination, and I truly thank you for coming here today. And let's get back here next week on time again for another inductee of the Chicago 16-inch Softball Hall of Fame. We'll see you next Saturday. Thank you.